today. We have Jamie and Brian on the other vehicle, and we have Jerry and Tara in final control. We're doing what all sensible mammals in this blistering heat do. It's about 33 degrees Celsius, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And as you can see, we're going to be sitting in the shade with these wild dogs. Now, there's a very strong chance that they're going to move sometime this evening, and they're definitely going to hunt. Those adults need to keep these puppies well fed. So we're going to sit here and wait it out. Could be a while, an hour or so before they get moving, but patience is the most important thing when it comes to following predators hunting. So guys, just got to be on the game drive radio for a second. Almost so still. I mean, there's no birds, just a slight breeze. One station with my dash, one station with Gorilla. These puppies are very, very hot, and they're definitely my favorite animals. Even when they're sleeping, they seem to move more than the other predators. You can see there's a pile under the log there. So all the puppies are accounted for. I can counted 11. There's 4 in that pile. The adults, I'm not sure where they are, but they're probably not too far away. To see the puppies lying so close to each other, even in this very oppressive heat, there's been quite a lot of research done on pack. Generally, a pack that lies close together has a much greater chance for survival than one that doesn't. And it's obviously because the social bonds between all the individuals in the pack are quite strong. It helps if you're all from the same litter. Just trying to see where the adults might be. They could be in the shadows under these big rulers to the left, but I can't see them just yet. And the puppies look so nice and calm. We're not going to disturb them yet. I'm just going to use my binos and cruise under the tree, see if I can catch a flicking hair or something. So this is where the adults were lying this morning. I think obviously the puppies can get out and start doing puppies around them, and then move off a little bit, try to find a bit of peace and quiet towards them. You got something there, Jean-Jean? No, I'm sure they're very close by. We even have a look just now. The thing about wild dogs is you don't want to leave them even when they're completely flat, because they can go from flat to laughing at my hair that is playing all around the place. while we fight the good fight and keep the patience here with the wild dogs. And let's go see what Jamie's got for you.
And how incredibly lucky are we? Karula has decided to be kind to us once again, making this probably the longest time I have ever spent with this particularly special cat. I came here after drive to show a couple of our directors, Karula, and she's still here this afternoon in the shade of the huge jackalberry. And as it happens, she's got, and I have Brian on camera with me this afternoon. And what an exciting news. What a way to start. Wild dogs and Karula, just like that, straight away. And Karula is sitting right on the Buffelshoek boundary. So she's on the northern side, which explains why we can't go and reposition around her. Still within viewing distance, and she's curled herself around what looks like it's a branch from that jackalberry, fallen branch, which she's using. She was using as a pillow. In fact, she still is. She's using it as a cheek rest now. I'm not quite sure how that's comfortable, but apparently it is. Area, and Buffelshoek is marginally closer, so we might get lucky. She might rejoin us and come back in this direction, keeping my fingers crossed. But for now we are content to watch the surprised she's down on the ground. I would have thought that a jackalberry would be a suitable place to hide in the afternoon. As I said, it's very hot, and there's a light breeze there. I think maybe she might be hiding in the vegetation, but to the shade of a termite mound. There's that huge tree that she was in. I was saying just this morning, there's so many suitable leopard trees around Djuma, and yet somehow you hardly ever see a leopard in them, and we've seen her in two today already. But it is the time of year where leopards do start to move back into the trees. There's much more foliage and vegetation to keep them shaded, and as I said, they've got the breeze blowing over them there. And she's using it as a pillow. When we returned earlier, now a footrest as well. The strangest contorted position I think I've seen a leopard in my life in a tree. She was lying with her bottom hanging down, and we were asked the question this morning if leopards ever fall out of trees. She really looked brave the sun.
No, we can try.
We can try, brave the sun for a bit, have a really nice look at her. The reason I'm saying that is there is another deer approaching, so we'll have to give up the best spot soon. Jackson's on his way to join us at the sighting. Let's get a nice view of her before that happens. Just going to casually extract myself from our tree, our shade tree. Herself around the branch. So there was ever a leopard that looked as contented as she does right now. I know that lots of people have been wondering about whether or not we can see any signs of pregnancy. Definitely too early to tell, but just to put your minds all at rest, she might be pregnant from her last session mating with Tingana. We won't know unless we see her mating with another male soon. If that mating wasn't successful, then she's going to come into estrus in the next week or two. And then if she is pregnant now, we may not know until she disappears off. A little bit damp. Exhausted. Now, quite often those yawns are good. And you, I'll shift now for you, or can you go? No, sharp. Thank you. Having a quick clean and scratch, rubbing your cheek on the stick, and another yawn. I think she's getting up. That's usually what that signifies. Quick scratch behind her ear. Now the question becomes, if she does get up, which way is she going to go? So wonderful to get to spend time with her. Right, we were discussing the possibility of a pregnancy, and Sean, you were wondering how many cubs do leopards have and how many pups do wild dogs have? Can they breed more than once a year? Let's start with leopards. Leopards generally average about 2. There have been recorded cases of more, but for the most part it's 2 cubs or 1 cub at a time. And no, what they'll do is if their cubs survive, they will breed once, and their cubs will be dependent on them and moving around with them for about 2 years, especially if they're males. Male cubs tend to stick around a 2-year period that the female starts to mate again. It's interesting because there are exceptions to that rule, which we saw with Shadow, who was mating when her cub was only just over a year old. But that's an exception. It's very unusual. It's not unheard of, but it's unusual. The average is about 18 months to 2 years before the females mate again. For wild dogs, it's slightly different. The average is somewhere in the region of between 13 to 20 pups, which is incredible to think of, and that can come just from one mother, the alpha female. Generally, only the alpha female breeds. Sometimes, as is the case with the one wild dog pack that we see, sometimes the beta female, so lower ranking female, will have pups as well, but quite often don't survive. Can't breed more than once a year, and wild dogs especially, although they can have 20 pups, they are one of the most endangered mammals out here, definitely one of the most endangered predator, which goes to show exactly how high their mortality rate must be if they're capable of producing 20 pups at a time. So they're about a meter away. That's fine with me, that's better for all of us concerned. Thanks, big girl. Oh, I thought you were going to disappear on us. Interesting how you can predict almost exactly when a big cat is going to be distinct. I think it's just too hot for her. I know the feeling. I have the distinct impression that both Brian and myself are going to be cooked by the time this day is through. Yep, Brian agrees.
Well grilled.
Well grilled, yes. Particularly from my sort of left side is getting it, as is yours. That side would be well done. She's also hot. You can see that panting movement. It's not just because she's full. Because she's full. And having looked at her now, she is full but not huge. That wonderful ability of big cats to really distend their stomach and there's something waiting in the wings to come and steal their prey from them. And in terms of our big predators out here, they fall quite low down on the food chain. The dogs that Brent are with would easily be able to chase her away. Although the interesting thing about wild dogs, of course, is that they don't scavenge kills. They like their own fresh kills. It looks distinctly enjoyable. She's moving too far away from where we are now, given that she's just got up only to flop down a meter further into the shade. And I believe that one of the wild
not much movement. You're saying about the most movement we've seen since we've been here. Just moving around slightly, trying to find a slightly cooler area. We're quickly going to cross back to Jamie.
Well, enjoy. Sorry guys, Karula has just got up and moved away. I'm going to shift around so we can try and get one last view. It was a total surprise. All of a sudden she just shot up and the most unpredictable creatures out here. Surprise. All of a sudden she just shot up and to which way Karula was planning on going, the answer is into Buffelshoek. Well, we were so lucky to have that brief moment with her. At least we got to see the wonderful Queen of Djuma before she disappeared off away from our boundary. I really honestly think she's gone to lie down in the shade just there, but we're just outside of our view. Well, let's head back across to Brent, since he's still got his wild dogs, and I will catch up with you in just a few moments.
A little boy. Well, while they're sitting like this, we can try work out, because they're not moving too much, boys and girls, so we know that one there is definitely a boy. And if you have a look at them, for those of you who are on the sunrise safari with us, nearly as round. How round their stomachs were on the sunrise safari, and they're not nearly as round, and that's that high metabolism that's burnt through whatever they might have eaten last night. So let's have a look. Come on, they're all lying in slightly difficult positions too. Coats. I think my favorite coloring is that one. Yeah, that one there with all the white on it. Looks like a little female. So they're all from the same litter, so they're brothers and sisters from the same parents. And curious one is wondering, if they're from the same litter, are there any identifying features that are shared through all of them? Yes, curious one in particular, they are wild dogs. Other than that, no, it's very difficult. Each individual dog will have a very distinct pattern on their body, and that's the way to distinguish them from each other on their body, and that's the way to distinguish them from each other. But there's no individual dog will have a very distinct pattern on their body, and the smell of wild dogs is literally quite strong, obviously, since we are. Why don't you guys put some guesses in, and how long do you guys think these dogs, when do you think these dogs are going to move? And remember to send your guesses through to questions. From how many minutes from now till the dogs get moving?
5:15.
So Jandre says at 5:15. The time here is 4:27 at the moment. I reckon it's going to be a little bit longer. I'd say 5:22. So there you go. 5:15. And 5:22. We are hoping they prove us both wrong and get moving earlier, but that's Jandre and my guesses on when these dogs will be moving. dogs deal with heat, so trying to get air through their body as quickly as possible. They either ate late last night or early this morning. There we go. Digging up to try to get some cool again. And also the sun has started creeping under the log. And closer to us. Shortly. Okay, there we go. We've got another boy for sure here. So this one here. He just stretched out and he's a boy. So now we are on 3 boys and 1 girl, but I'm still not 100% about that girl. Maybe 2 girls. Looks like she might have got a little scratch there, nothing serious, just a bit of bare skin. And obviously being out in the bush, it's difficult, but that is healed, so it's quite old. And I don't see any negative movement, or I haven't noticed any in any of the little ones, so nothing to worry about there. So while we're sitting there, wild dogs are the most endangered canid in southern Africa and the second most endangered canid in Africa. And I wonder who can tell me what is the most endangered canid in Africa. For those of you who might not know what canid is, it's a member of the dog family. So, where the word canine comes from. So, who can tell me what is the most endangered say the temperature's dropped just yet, but there's a nice little breeze picking up, which is making it a little bit cooler for us and the wild dogs, or painted wolves. Precocial before, and altricial means that the babies are born blind and helpless in a den, and it will take them quite a lot of time. So probably only in about 4 months will they start venturing out from the den a lot with the adults, and that varies from pack to pack. multiple dens like hyenas that they use to avoid parasites like ticks and fleas. But they're around 300 to 350 grams at birth. And when you see a pregnant wild dog female, she's literally huge, bursting at the seams. And only the alpha female will breed, although every now and then a beta female breeds, and that actually happened with the Sabi Sands pack or half-tailed pack this year. So very interesting, but that is unusual, not normal behavior. Rest of the dog community or pack, their sole existence is to raise those puppies. It is one of the only other animals outside of human beings where the youngsters the higher social ranking than the adults. And I know with humans it might not seem that, but when people have babies, they put all their effort into looking after their babies, and the same thing happens with the wild dog pack. So a very, very interesting social structure. Chatting about litters and alpha and beta individuals in the pack. So Andreen is wondering a little bit more detail on that. So the alpha pair generally, as I said, 90% of the time will do all the breeding. And when a beta female gives birth, it is generally to the alpha male, so it's not a beta male who will mate. And she's wondering whether this is instinct that stops them probably other predators around, and specifically lions kill a lot of wild dog puppies. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys go. They've done really well to get 11 individuals to 6 months or so. Only lost one from that I know of, but in the next 6 months they're probably likely to lose another 5, 6 individuals. And this pack becomes a nice big and regular pack in this area. Very interesting species. They are a relative or derived from the grey wolf, which you get in North and America and Europe, but obviously they've specialized in living in those Ethiopian highlands, and they feed almost exclusively, or 90% of their diet is made up of rodents. And the Bale Mountains Massif and the other mountain ranges in Ethiopia has one of the highest biomasses in the world. And what I mean by biomass, I mean sort of chunks of meat running around, and that is made up by rodents. So there's more meat in the Ethiopian highlands that are made up of rats and voles and cane rats than the Serengeti and Mara migration of wildebeest and zebra. And isn't that incredible? For perceived stock killing in the past, and also loss of habitat. feedback on our time quizzes. We got Crystal says 5:45, Deborah says 5:39, and Theodore says 3 minutes before the end of drive. Theodore, I hope closest, but we won't tell him that. Thankfully he's got headphones on. But while we keep waiting with these dogs and hope for a bit of action, let's go see what Jamie's found at the waterhole.
Whilst Karula lies apparently 100 meters into Buffelshoek Dam underneath a tree, settled back down once again, Brian and myself have found ourselves right back at Buffelshoek Dam to continue our daily monitoring of a very rapidly drying out what is essentially becoming a muddy pan. But let's have a look at what we've got here. We've got our usual complement. It's been interesting to see how, first of all, how fast this dam is disappearing and what a hive of activity it's actually become for birds. To be even vaguely bothered by its presence. And then, of course, our wonderful family of Egyptian geese that we've been watching over the last few days. I'm very impressed. Oh, that's a hammercock calling. I'm incredibly impressed with these two's parental skills. I've just seen them just as we Brian behind there. Isn't it incredible that a tiny goose is capable of chasing away a big bird like a stork? And how they managed to defend the 6 youngsters against the marabous, I remain very impressed. You can see them, the tiny little figures waddling around in the mud, sticking close to mom and dad, and for good reason. The marabou storks have vanished now, they've moved on. To wherever they have, possibly up into Buffelshoek, which means that the goslings have survived the influx of what was probably somewhere in the region of 20 marabou storks. And for those first-time viewers, a marabou stork is a very big predatory stork, mostly a scavenger of carcasses, but also a predator in its own right, that a lot of them attempted in a very slow and ponderous way to try and get hold of those goslings, and fiercely protected by the 2 adults that you can see. And and we're slowly watching water all around us dry up. Temperatures continue at around 40 degrees. You're going to see more and more conflict between the animals. Is astounding. You hear the wind howling, and it is just one of those that we experience. What I would like to do is to try and shift forward. Brian and I found ourselves quite a nice patch of shade in the knobthorn tree. But I thought that I might have a look forward. I'm still on the lookout for that.
All your predators smell quite rank. Even leopard, lion, we do a lot of grooming. And I mean, they eat smelly things, and dogs in particular, I think, if they have the opportunity, they do spend quite a bit of time cooling off in water. And obviously those scents are quite important in finding each other and demarcating territory and stuff like that. So I probably think, especially with wild dogs, when they get separated, they do often track each other by scent, and also by those very pretty woo calls that we hear. Not much. And the key for this is we're waiting for the adults. The adults will set the tone for when they're going to get moving. They'll come through. Specifically individual. Very, very pretty. I know I mentioned on the sunrise safari. So we've been chatting about the wild dogs and the fact that they are one of the most endangered canids in Africa, if not the world. And Razzie in New York, the very brutal and killers by the early settlers in Africa. And so they were shot on sight and executed in vast numbers. So human beings have taken a huge toll on their population, as well as the fact that farming and fencing and stuff has removed a lot of their natural sort of home ranges and removed a lot of their natural predators, which has forced them into stock killing, which has also increased the amount of conflict with human beings. Also, the domestic dogs carrying canine distemper and rabies are two really, really big effects on the wild dog. From domestic dogs in the area, so very, very sad. But it is one of the things we were unable to get to them in time, and when we started finding them dying of rabies already, there was no chance of quarantine or protection, so they had to be put down to ensure the safety of all the other animals around. But good news is we've got a new pack on the way to be reintroduced into the area. Interestingly enough, when the Kruger National Park was first formed, or before it was formed, it was two different reserves. There was the Sabi Game Reserve, which is modern day Skakuza today, and the Shingwedzi Game Reserve, which was in the north of the park. And the area between, which is Satara, and that was all farms in those days. But when the park was first formed, the first warden, Colonel Stevenson Hamilton, had a standing order to all his field rangers to shoot all predators on sight to protect the impala and zebra and other animals. So all wild dogs, hyenas, lions, leopards and cheetah were shot on sight by the Kruger National Park when it was first formed. And it's amazing how times have changed and people's perceptions have changed in a relatively short time. Last night, and how And Jamie and I, who were go see if we could find them, and unfortunately we did. Oh, heads up, I thought the adults might be on their way. For the greeting ceremony. As you can see, all the dogs are relatively close to them in the vehicles, but Pamela is wondering, would they ever attack a human? Well, Pamela, interesting enough, there's never ever been a recorded attack on humans by wild dogs, and I've actually spent some incredible time on foot with wild dogs. First, they messed up my camera lens and I can't take any pictures, but there's never been a recorded attack on humans by wild dogs. Not a wild dog is not a predator, it is a predator, but I think the only possible human a wild dog pack would attack is a small child that was unattended by people. Now Aubrey just arrived, and where from Aubrey is he can actually see the adults lying just beyond us. So the adults are here, and we can see they don't worry about being too dignified while sleeping. As you can see, tongue out of the mouth in the sand, but he doesn't seem to be too perturbed at all. Chatting a bit more about human and wild dog conflict. Lynn is wondering, are there protected species now? Are they still being shot, or are there penalties facing people who trap or shoot the painted wolf? And then they are very much a protected species. They are being endangered. They are offered the full weight of protection, very, very heavy protection, and there are penalties. Up to 10 years imprisonment or a $10,000 fine for killing or shooting a wild dog. Unfortunately, there are some uninformed on at that movement time. Jean-Ray only has 20 minutes till his guest runs out, and I have 27 minutes. Are wild animals, and we can only give a good guess. But they are definitely hungry, and I'm very confident they are going to hunt this evening. So very little movement from these wild dogs, and we are watching the clock to see who's got the guess right. So while we do that, let's go and see Jamie, who's got one of the taller individuals that live in the bush.
Just have a look at this extraordinarily handsome gentleman. Distinguished, I think is the word for that profile. Big old giraffe bull in the on the top of his head protruding. And he's huge. He's not tall. I mean, he is tall, obviously. He's a giraffe. That's not really what I mean. I mean, he's not the tallest giraffe I've ever seen, but he is bulky. Really stocky, solid gentleman. That beautiful, rich, dark color that giraffe bulls get at a certain age. He's probably somewhere in his mid-teens, prime of his life, and he's been very obliging for the moment, and I think he just heard me say that. I love their eyelashes. Just see them. Such an important protective feature if you're going to stick your head into a thorn tree. Oh, quick sneeze. You can see where he's rubbed that patch away on the top of his head. And that could well be from fighting. You can see the top of his ossicones also rubbed bald. Very distinctive feature of the male giraffe. Munching away on the log thorns he's managed to collect. To move around quite often when they're at this age. They're moving around on their own. Well, they're very amenable to company. Giraffe are nice like that. They don't have set herds, set groups. They move and stick together with other females as a matter of protection. And a bull this size, yeah. Giving us a look. He's not even that infested. He's a very healthy male. I've only seen one ox pecker on him so far. Hardly any raw patches of skin. That incredible pattern. He's got an 8 on his thigh. Sorry, but I just noticed now. Perfect 8 on his back, on his thigh, on his back. Yeah, here we go. Very healthy. Isn't he beautiful? Look at those stunning eyelashes. Watching us very closely. Giraffes have an amazing ability to stare I've said that his tick load is low because there's only one oxpecker on him, and I actually can't see that many ticks. And yes, Pamela didn't appreciate that oxpecker there. Oxpeckers can be quite a good indication of tick load and therefore the health of the animal. It's not a set rule, but generally animals, especially the sick and the older ones, they tend to carry more ticks than others, and that differs from species to species. Wildebeest, for example, have a much lower tick load than to species. Wildebeest, for example, have a much lower tick load than any other animal of that size. Nobody's quite sure why. It just seems that some animals are more resistant than others. Behind that bush, and it's a good place to stop and have a snack. Well, the late evening, the oxpeckers haven't had time to find them yet, so it's not a set hard and fast rule. That is a good indication. Are you playing shy, boy? And I can't even reposition because I won't have signal there. Ducked and hidden away. Okay, well, let's give it a go. See if we can get another view of our beautiful boy. I'm going to try and loop around the other side. Hopefully he sticks around as we do. Alright, boy, you could just kindly stay there.
They're still here doing very little. Get from a hot area to another slightly cooler area, and hopefully the adults will come and start the greeting ceremony in the not too distant future. Let's see. Sort of playing and movement just at those two over there, which is a good sign. The temperature is dropping steadily. Happening here now. Remember to take some screenshots, guys, and pop them on the Safari Live Facebook page, or pop them on Twitter with the hashtag Safari Live. temperature drops, there is a little bit of more movement happening. And so we have been chatting a little bit about domestic dogs and wild dogs, and Sean from Secunda in South Africa is, oh, there we go, look at that. Sean, I'll get your question in a second. See this behavior now? Now, that is very unusual. So somehow, I think it's actually just eating a piece of dung. All the others have sort of thought it's got food, and even though they're all the same age, they're starting the begging. So the adults might get the begging starting quite shortly. Very interesting behavior, that. You can see how the ears go flat, and you can see how the ears go flat, and there you go, and you'll hear that high-pitched twittering. Look there. Look at that. It's a way that the puppies try and get begging. They're going to go beg from the adults. This is what we're hoping for. What is the time? 7:12. Oh, Jean-Andre was the closest there with the time. To do their greeting in a really thick flock. There they go over there. We're going to just try to get into position. Hold on, Jean-Andre. This is one of the reasons I love wild dogs so much. There's so much excitement. That's the thing I love about dogs. They can go from there we go, here come the adults. This is it. Sorry, how, there we go. Look at the pups rushing through to greet the adults. Listen to that sound. Okay guys, we gotta move. This is exciting. Yeah, I'm just trying to see. We should come back to this adult closest to us here. So that's begging, licking of the faces, touching the faces. It's the most incredible sound. time because they're just so active. Who's 13 years old and this is his first time watching. He wants to know, when will the pups hunt with the adults? Well, Riley, probably still in a couple of months, probably. We've got a comment from Marisha. It says she loves the sound of the wild dogs. They sound like little gremlins. Here we got, looks like the alpha pair. So remember, I noticed that the alpha pair, the alpha male, a bit more blonde on the neck than the other male. While they're hunting, but we will give it our best go. Pups are lying down over there at the moment. I just saw the other adult move off. Let's just try and get into position. Scrapes, but that's one of the things that happens out here. There still seems to be a bit of discussion about where to go. So we got the two adults to the left, we got the pups in frame at the moment. It is obviously a danger, but they do need these communications, being such an incredibly social animal. But there's communications and greeting ceremonies, the benefits probably far outweigh the negatives. speed now, which makes it a lot more difficult to stick with them. So just bear with me while I dance through the bush here. Hopefully I don't lose the cameraman. Pandemonium! Madasha, Shala with enjoyable. Let's just get around to it. It's open. She's still off to a wild dog. Still going. She just come out of the drainage line behind us. Now the rest of the elephant herd are going in front of us. We've got to be very careful that we don't get in the wrong position and get misplaced aggression from the elephants that are towards the wild dogs. So this is a potentially dangerous situation. We do have to be quite careful here. So if I do want to move away, guys, you just have to bear with me. wild dogs run towards us and there's an elephant directly behind them like that, we don't want to be in the wrong spot. These elephants are obviously very upset at the moment. Just going to make sure we have an escape route as well. Next to us, the Ellies have moved off a little bit. Here the dogs running past us, so we just got to watch. You can see that agitation, you can hear that incredible noise the Ellies are making. Very, 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 very slight. The wild dogs are going into the mud there to try and get a drink. Mentioned earlier that wild dogs often like to lie in mud and water to cool down. Obviously, they encounter elephants probably on a daily basis, and I'm quite used to playing with them. Oh, there we go again. Different elephant deciding to get rid of the dogs. So we're missing one adult. The pups looks like they're trying to sneak down towards where we are now. Oh, here we go. Isn't that incredible? Just watch behind us. Oh, okay. Genre, just don't move. So guys, we just can't move. We've got elephants coming more. Another herd of elephants has just arrived. And we are right here, so we just got to keep very still. They're going to run past the run. Next to me there. They're moving towards where the puppies are. So I mean, this is just incredible. There's just action everywhere. And there comes a wild dog through the gap. And there we go. And now the big herd's just seeing the puppies. I mean, don't worry about the puppies. They're generally quick enough to get out of the way. Which I'm going to take the opportunity to do. So, as I said, you got to be careful about being caught and compromised. do like to tease elephants. So we've got one adult male here. We've got that drinking, and just above we've got that really large group of elephants, and the puppies are just beyond those elephants. We've got another group of elephants just on the edge of the wall there, and then we've got an adult female wild dog directly in front of us. Stay with them. The interactions that they have, not only with the animals they're trying to eat, but with the other animals around here, is just so incredible. Here comes the third adult. And I wonder when the youngsters are going to try to sneak through. But the elephants are coming back. Seems the dogs keep choosing to run towards us. Stop it. Now, little do they know there's a whole bunch of puppies just behind them. I just caught a glimpse of the puppies through the bush. See? And they're the puppies, Chandra. That's incredible, guys. Absolutely amazing. Thirst's winning here. The wild dog knows it's much faster than the elephants. Judging by my head. The elephants are the puppies. Oh, there's just too much going on. Here we go again. sure a lot of you can see why this is my favorite animal. Just fantastic screenshots. There. And they quite nervously approach. There we go, happy puppies. Yeah, that lapping. Incoming Eddie. Scatter pups. So strange. We actually chatted about this on the Sunroll by the Eddies. Incoming Ellie. Thinking about charging in again. Slurping. Attack from the elephant. The dogs thought they were moving off, and then in she came charging. Trying to decide whether to try to see the dogs off a little further. watching the ellies. The dogs have inconveniently put us in between the ellies and us. Oh, the ellies on one side and the dogs on the other. So I'm just going to move in case she decides to chase them. I definitely don't want to be in the middle. Hello guys, that was a bit exciting. Little guys playing with elephants. Not many 6-month-old baby are adept at getting away from rewarding elephant herds. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, all present and accounted for. It's just so magical to have these animals around. And the amount of excitement, and they haven't even gone hunting. In front of us, right opposite us. These elephants really don't like the dogs around. I mean, it's a consistent pushing of them. We've still... And off they go again. And we're going to stick with the female for now. One dog in hand is better than the others in the bush. Again, we've got to be very careful where we position now with these. Okay, so we can see both here. So they're the dogs there, and the elephants are about to come charging through behind them. Here comes a dog. adults and another one of the adults. The puppies seem to have moved off slightly further to the sort of northwest, but yeah, incoming. Elephants chasing the puppies. There you go, the puppies out to the left, dropping into the bottom of the bowl. Seem to stop, chase, gather, rally, and then chase again. Hasn't the sighting been so incredibly exciting? Nice, clever comment from Deborah in Kentucky. Pachyderm puppy pandemonium. I think that's very, very well named. Just want to reposition so we can keep an eye on everything that's going on, or try to, at least with wild dogs, it's near impossible. Two adults in the water. We've got one adult over there, and then the puppies off. It looks like the puppies might be heading back towards. Elephants and puppies a bit further away. It's in some thick bush, so we're definitely not going to put ourselves in that situation. From a long-time viewer, Ophira, said she's been watching since 2009, and this is the most intense interaction. That she's ever seen. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Looking towards where I last had a visual of the youngsters, but not looking too perturbed. Got a question from one of our favorite viewers, Gracie, who's 8 years old. Gracie would like to know, would the elephants hurt these puppies? Gracie, if the elephants got hold of them, if it caught them, it definitely would. But fortunately for the wild dogs, they're very, very fast, and it's very difficult for an elephant to catch it. So only if the wild dog might be sick or hurt would the elephant be fast enough to catch it. But these are all very healthy wild dogs, so they escaped with not too much problem. See the puppies to the west of us somewhere. Adults still all around us. They might be waiting for the puppies to come back, and once that happens, sort of get them a So we've just seen the dogs playing and drinking in this little muddy wallow to the right of us here. I mean, that's bad water for you and us, for you and I maybe, but for the wild dogs it's perfect. We've seen this incredible interaction of elephants chasing wild dogs every which way, and Charlie is wondering whether they're protecting their water and rationing their energy around the dwindling supply. Charlie, I don't think so. They react like this to all predators when they find them. I think maybe the fact that there's so many wild dogs is what got them so riled up, and the fact that everywhere they looked there was another one would have possibly got them that riled up. Whether it's with a lion or whatnot, they normally all run off in the same direction. They won't come back. So it's very unusual for a lion to be able to come back and try to drink water after they've been chased by elephants. Whereas wild dogs, no, they're sort of a bit faster, they're a bit more tenacious, and they kept harassing them. Well, not harassing them, but coming down to drink. And elephants don't like any other predators around them, so that's why they were chasing them. The puppy's gone. Right? There's a puppy. Go back. Down there. something smelly, probably some dung. There we go. Wild dogs don't get dewormed regularly or if at all. And I looks like they're going to get moved. So we're going to try to keep up with the adults. What an incredible sighting so far. Goes the next one. Let's hope they stick close to the roads. As we all know, following wild dogs is quite a difficult scenario when they go through that bush. Fortunately, we were able to guess where they were going to come out last time, and then hearing the elephants gave away their position. Not traditionally, they tend to not like hunting at night as much. They are what you call a trip. And in that first light of morning as well. And of course, as I say that, I start heading off. Cutting corners again. Hitting tacks and everyone go ahead quickly. We've been in front and having such an incredible sighting for so long. Always good. That's a very good plan. It's a nice thing about having more than one vehicle following, because now, in case they bolt through here and I'm not able to keep up with them through this very thick bush, Taxton might catch them as they come out on the other side. So their hunting style is called coursing. They course through the bush till they actually physically see something before they take it. figure out that in out. And you see them start. Got them.
And disappearing off into the distance, what you were looking at was probably one of the most pregnant zebra I have ever seen. I'm going to try and relocate her in the afternoon sunset. It's been such a beautiful afternoon, so hot though. And it sounds as though those wild dogs have been the most wild ride, as dogs always are. She looks. She's bulging. Oh, there they are. Try and get a visual. Hello, big girl. She's with the stallion. He's obviously only just started forming his herd. He's got one female in his starter harem. Typically, she will now be his favorite mare, and no matter how many more females he collects, on the top of the hierarchy, she'll always lead the rest of the group. And just generally, if he does lose a fight, that it's still 30 degrees. But that, listen, when it's degrees in the middle of the day, 30 degrees starts to feel cool. I believe that Paul Rizzo, you are very excited. then definitely join us for the wild times that happen during Big Cat Week. And of course, there are all sorts of things planned and in the pipeline. It's so pretty. The silver cluster leaves provide, it's a different color to driving through most of the rest of Djuma, the rest of the reserve. Silver cluster leaves, as their name suggests, are silver. And they're really pretty trees. Exciting I saw for all of you birders out there. Exciting I saw for all of you birders out. Around the Djuma Dam, so keep your eyes on the Djuma Dam camera, they might return. It's the same. Raced across to her, and she is basically saying you could easily try. Sibling stood next to her, and then with the baby behind in that defensive line. And for a small herd, it was so important that it was almost choreographed, and so important in terms of protecting that young calf. Phenomenal. But I think it's a combination of instinct as well. Well, today we've done a lot of comparing the different predators out here. And Heidi, you've got a really, really interesting question on the dentition of wild dogs versus hyena. So which has the bigger teeth and which is stronger? And the teeth, the canines of the wild dogs are probably ever so slightly longer, but they're not as solid as the hyenas. Hyenas' teeth are built for crushing bone. That's something that wild dog can't really do, not the really big bones. They might chew on the small bones, they might eat bits of the ribs, but for the most part they're not adapted for eating the larger bones of a carcass, which the hyena are so well specialized at doing. Which essentially means that the hyena jaw strength is much, much stronger than the wild dogs. And you see it in the slope of their shoulders and the shape of their heads. Hyena heads are broader. They've got more points for muscle attachment around the top of the skull. They've got a very prominent bone, the name of which has suddenly escaped me. They've got a very prominent ridge along the top of their skull to serve as muscle attachment points for those jaw bones. And the hyena has a bite force that is only, out here, is only really beaten by that of a crocodile in terms of pressure. But incredibly, incredibly strong bite force and crushing power, which means that they have to have the molars adapted for it as well. So although their molars do have the molars adapted for it as well. So although their molars on the outer edges to crush bone, wild dogs are adapted to utilize different parts of the carcass. They don't scavenge, they go straight for fresh kills, and of course are incredibly good at it. And they will generally dogs with Scott the other morning, where that hyena was very lucky to have escaped alive. And with hyenas and wild dogs, it's a numbers game. Hyenas are bigger than wild dogs, they're much heavier, and one-on-one, when it was about 10 against 2, and eventually 10 against 1, that hyena was under serious threat of being badly injured or killed. It was very lucky to escape. Still looking out for our pregnant zebra, but she doesn't seem to have popped out of the drainage line. I think she might be planning on spending an evening somewhere tucked away in there. Process that I watched with Mike with double sets of canines on the top and the bottom before the milk teeth fell out. They don't hold back when they're young. And roaming around with the adults. It's been interesting how, apart from, of course, our incredible wild dog sighting and the fact that we started with Karula, it's incredible how here, and I think it's actually the heat mainly. It's actually animals to find shelter in drainage lines and around thick bushy areas. And I also wonder whether this drought is having quite a serious effect on the vegetation. Most of the rivers now in the country are starting to run dry. Even the big ones like the Olifants River has been essentially reduced to pretty much a trickle. wonder whether this drought is having quite a serious standing by. Copy, will do. Alright, so Brent's called me in as a reinforcement to have a when they go off hunting, it is a disappear in the blink of an eye. We're going to help Brent out and just have a look. So keep your and let's see if they manage to catch something. Although wild dogs are fearsome and effective hunters out here, pack on foot by mistake. It depends on the pack, it depends on their level of habituation. Certain packs within the Sabi Sands are regularly tracked by people on foot looking, and you might actually get to spend a little bit of quality time with them. Come on puppies, where have you gone? Otherwise, if it's not a pack that's are not engineered by evolution to hunt people. That being said, they're still wild animals. That's always worth remembering. Wild animals can be incredibly unpredictable, and you should never underestimate them. Something that you've got to bear in mind without getting in any way complacent when you're out about in the bush is that you're never quite sure a bit shaky, so let's head across to Brentford.
So we're just going to check through here quickly. I'm hoping that pop-out was open. area, but we can't hear any of that excited feeding noises, those high-pitched squeaks. So I'm hoping from where they left, they should be coming out in this area here somewhere. I'm just going to turn off the engine and freewheel down the hill. Was wondering that if they could, or what was the biggest thing they would kill. I think they're still just a little bit too uncoordinated to do that, Carla. So I don't think they'll be able to make a kill just yet. Probably they'll start really actively joining the hunt. Haven't come out here yet. Might be worth doing another little check down Shabam Road. Last place those dogs were was just down here in this really thick area, and they were heading west towards the setting sun. So it's in this area as well. So in this from Arizona. Speaking of elephants, Christopher, there they are. Elephants see all predators as a potential threat, even though it's very unlikely wild dogs would ever actually have a chance. Which probably means the dogs didn't come this way. Nice big breeding area. There's a very correction. That sounds like elephants with wild dogs. And just wait for this one to move out of the way. Unfortunately, this is a really, really thick block, so I have to concentrate on trying to stay with the dogs. There's a puppy there running through here. Oh, dearie me. Why this block of wild dogs? Why, I do say. Stations just had a brief visual. Animals now mobile, sort of north towards the junction of Shabam and Philemon's dip. I'm unable to follow. Okay, unfortunately it doesn't look like we're going to get through here. There's a big dip and drainage line, lots of fallen trees. We're going to cross the
Just have a look at this incredible view of a hooded vulture. I know that Brent is hot on the trail of those dogs. We're going to be heading across to help him out in a moment, but we just had to stop for this. A moment of peace in what's been quite a frantic afternoon. It's really quite a stunning image against the silhouette of the sky, and put very well into words by Jerry a little bit earlier. Africa sometimes is paintings in real life, and we've got one right here. Oh, that's beautiful. There's nothing like the silhouettes of the just a sliver of the moon in the sky. I don't think there is a view in the world that can beat that, in my opinion. Every evening is different, every sunset is different. I've lived here my whole life and I've never experienced a sunset that looks the same. Somehow there's always a slightly different feel to the air. And these hot summer evenings is an almost oppressive wild dogs now. Excitement abounds. We are losing. Where we are on Savage's track, looking like they're going towards Philemon's cut line. Happy Cub, I hope that answers your question as to where these wild dogs are moving. Spotlight as well. For some reason I have a jacket in the car. What on earth made me think that a jacket was shade?
So we've caught up with the youngsters. Jamie's actually right here as well, and she's the other side. Unfortunately, we're not going to put any lights on these guys. food to them. Unfortunately, we are getting towards the end of the time we will spend with wild dogs. We don't view them at night, as they are a crepuscular species. There's a bit of gamemanship going on there. So as we've got all the youngsters playing in the road between our two vehicles, Gilly in Wisconsin, I was wondering, would they not hunt smaller things by themselves before they're able to join with the main hunts? As I said earlier, no, it's very unlikely and doesn't happen very much in wild dog society. They will wait for the adults to come, and they'll learn on the hunt as they get. Just got to be on the radio. Copy, thanks, Scottish. We've got the youngsters on Shabam Road. So Scotty, he's just gone out for a little afternoon drive, and he's just spotted one of the adults near Philemon's Dip. So heading south, so maybe possibly back towards us here. Look at them playing. So it's nice and cool now. The youngsters are playing. You can see Jamie and Brian's vehicle just behind. There they are. So I know it is quite dark, but we don't want to put the lights on them. Keeping themselves very entertained. They had a good snooze for most of the day. Oh, look at that jump! Fun and games. So what they'll do is they'll wait here for the adults, and the adults will come back and generally regurgitate food from them. So from inside their stomachs, they will pretty much, for the basis way of saying it, they will vomit up meat that they've eaten for the puppies. So there we go. It sounds like two adults together now from Scotty heading back west towards where we are. Maybe they've caught something. Maybe they're coming to feed the youngsters. And hopefully it sounds like they're going to head straight towards this spot from what I can hear. So it's worth hanging around here in case those adults have made a kill somewhere and they're coming back to regurgitate, or to take the pups with them back to a kill site. Obviously that's quite risky with all the hyenas around. So while we sit opposite Jamie, we're going to go see what she has to say about the wild dogs, and we'll be sitting just just in shot on the other side.
And just to see things from our perspective, which is just on the line in this direction, and unless I go all the way around, I won't be able to get there in time. So we'll sit and watch and wait and see if the adults are going to make their way back across to the pups. It's interesting, the Investec pack have their work cut out for them because there are only 3 adults. They need all 3 of them to hunt, which means they've got to leave the pups without any kind of babysitter or protection. These pups have only just come out of their den site, and what's attracted this one's attention? Looking at something. Sorry, I'll be with you in a moment. I just want to double check what it's seen. Nope, I think he's just on alert. I know it is very dark, guys, but obviously, as has been explained, we can't spotlight them or put lights on them. And since they are out on their own. Now, Enid, these pups have just come out of their den, and you were wondering if wild dogs dig their own, or if they will take over the den sites of other predators like hyenas. And the answer is you'll find with most of these animals, even warthogs that move into den sites around termite mounds, is comparison, because of course hyenas, for the most part, you get maybe 4 cubs at a den site at the most, whereas with the pups they've all got to make space for up to 20, 21 of them at a time. So they look for nice big solid systems of termite mounds that they can then excavate and find themselves a nice patch and a nice hole. And of course that's a nice safe time of their lives when they can have the protection of the den. This is probably the most dangerous time for these young pups. They're just starting to move out and about with the pack, but they can't have the protection of the adults all the time. Oh, something's got their attention. I'm trying to work out where they're all looking. It's so dark to try and see. And it's totally worth staying with them, even if we can't put any lights on them, because the adults are going to make their way back across to the pups, and then at least we'll be able to hear the sounds of the greetings that they make. And it could be, if the adults have made a kill in the time that they've been away, and they could return and regurgitate food for the puppies, and you get to see that incredible begging action. There's no other animal like what the wild dogs do when the adults return and they regurgitate the food for the pups, and sometimes for other adults as well. And Ramey, you were wondering if they lose nutrition when they regurgitate the food, and it's a very short period of time. So obviously for the adult that's regurgitating, it's a very, what's the word? It's a very selfless act, because it means in the regurgitation process it still carries. They are hearing something. I thought I heard something moving through the bushes as well. I'm just going to double check with my spotlight while we watch the pups. I've been trying to figure out what it is they're looking at. I can't quite see. But Christopher, you were saying that there's a very eerie glow to their eyes, and what is that? You might be picking up on the reflection of the layer at the back of the eye, known as the tapetum lucidum. That generally bounces back light. It acts as a giant mirror and helps to magnify any ambient light that they might be seeing. But because they're diurnal animals, they don't have it to the same extent that things like leopards and lions do. They might be picking up some of the lights from the vehicles that might have given them an eerie glow. For the most part, the expression in wild dogs' eyes to me is one of my favorite things about them. There's so much intelligence in it. It's getting very dark, and I think it might be time for us to leave the wild dogs very soon. So let's head across to Brent so that he can say goodbye to his favorite predator, and we'll be back with you very shortly.
So what an from the wild dogs before we turn on all our many lights we have on these vehicles. And it's almost like you're driving a starship, because all the little buttons you get to flick. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's I must say, what a day, and what a welcome back to Safari Live for me. Awesome Ellies, big Ellie bulls this morning. Wild dogs not doing too much on the I think it could be a bush baby in the tree, but quite far away. Oh, incoming. Listening to the greeting. Are you still there? It might be worthwhile just standing by. There's an adult rearing back towards them. There might be some nice greeting sounds. So we're going to carry on. Jamie's going to go stand by there in case. Quickly cross so you can listen to that incredible noise, and especially now that it's a bit darker and it's still, it might be amplified even more, the sound. That looked like the female that rushed past us there. We've spent pretty much both sunrise and sunset safaris with the Investic Breakaway Pack. And Helen is wondering how they get such a strange name. So those of you who might not know, Investec is quite a large financial institution. That was started in South Africa, but I think it's registered based in London at the moment. And so they sponsor all the collars when they put collars on them. So this is the breakaway pack. The main section of the pack still has collars. They live further to the north and east of us. And also all veterinary expenses and whatnot that the pack might incur is all paid for by the private bank. Hence the strange name of the Investec Breakaway. And she's been watching since April and definitely thinks that's better than any movie or TV show she could have possibly watched. Well, thanks very much, and we really do appreciate your support, and keep watching. For chameleons, genets, for bush babies. Hopefully she'll be back again soon. I'm still hoping that those male leopard tracks we followed up on this morning unfortunately didn't come to fruition. We'll get some fresh ones out in the morning around that area, and hopefully it is Djuma.
Well, what an incredible afternoon it has been, and what an amazing way to spend my last few moments of the sunset safari. The pups are just in front of me, but in complete pitch blackness. I'm not going to put any kind of light on them, and I'm just waiting here to see if the adults are going to head back and join them, and we might get some of those amazing yelping, begging sounds that wild dogs make. And to have spent as much time with Karula, cameraman, having that instinctive feel for where to point the camera and what to show us and where the action's going to be, we wouldn't be able to bring you such extraordinary images as we do. And a big thanks, of course, to all of you for your wonderful questions and your comments that you sent through. Guys, we're going to say goodbye to you for now and catch you on the sunrise safari. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and we'll head back across to Brent for the last few moments of our sunset safari. Bye-bye for now.
So hopefully those dogs are still around in the morning. They're just so exciting to follow. Goose might be out foraging for rodents and insects. And we went through a patch where we saw them quite often here, and I haven't seen them for a while. I have been away, so always nice to just check and see what animals are around. We could also find nice little side streets. Right, jackal. There was a impala down there that I just spotted. That's why the spotlight stayed so long in that area. But no predators yet. Wild dogs have that unique thing that they regurgitate a lot of the food to the puppies, the adults do. And Jeffrey from Austin in the Lone Star State is wondering how much do the adults keep for themselves. Well, Jeffrey, if the puppies are very hungry, they're actually almost everything they'll give to the puppies, and actually prefer to go hunt again, which they do quite often in clusters. And they'll be hunting twice a day, almost every day. If not, we've got an interesting comment from Paul Rizzo. He said, just can't help but think that wild dogs just thoroughly enjoy themselves running around the bush, terrorizing everyone. And it does seem that way sometimes. But I think look like very happy sort of animals. And as they sort of cruise around chasing everything and everybody. And I mean, I've seen them cause havoc with elephants, with buffalo, with zebra, and we've seen the zebra and wildebeest chasing them. But they are definitely, for me, one of the, if not, well, they are my favorite animal, but they are one of the most interesting animals to watch behaviorally. And when they do get going, there's never a dull moment. Animals to see them hunting successfully or hunting at all. The bush of Djuma has given me, so that was been really, really great. Climate we have at the moment. But don't forget to join us in the morning, and we will see you for Safari Live tomorrow.